to defeat your enemy.
You must know them. Not simply their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, art. Everything leading up to this moment has been rehearsal. The real performance is about to begin.
Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?
My friends, I have just finished watching the season finale of season 1 of The Bad Batch, and I was blown away when we were watching that together over on the other channel, Lore Star Live. As usual, we had our usual viewers. It's a pretty small community of people who actually like to watch on the live channel, and it's a great community if any of you guys would like to join. It's a great place to connect with me and be able to ask questions directly in chat and all that. But basically, at the end of the episode, we saw this planet that had these mountains with these cutouts, and it was this weird looking planet. And I'd verbalized, what is this planet? And I actually said, oh, it kind of reminds me of the planet from the Thrawn trilogy, and particularly The Last Command, where Jaruus C'baoth was from. And as we were watching it, and then that shuttle lands, and out pops Mistress Nala Se, and I legitimately freaked out, because the fact that they were bringing cloners to a planet that looks like Wayland tells me they are setting up the actual storyline of the Thrawn trilogy. Now, for those who don't know, the planet of Wayland was a planet that existed in the original Thrawn trilogy. The Thrawn trilogy was written before the prequels, back when the Clone Wars were still referenced, but no one actually had determined what they were. And Wayland was Emperor Palpatine's personal cloning facility, and that is where he grew clones such as Jaruus C'baoth and Luke Skywalker, not to be confused with Luke Skywalker. Notice the double vowels in both of their first name. Jaruus C'baoth was cloned from Joruus C'baoth, and Luke Skywalker was cloned using the severed hand of Luke Skywalker. Now, the existence of this planet that looks like this, and the fact that there are cloners there, tells me that this is very likely the planet of Wayland, the same planet referenced in the original Thrawn trilogy. And it tells me, with the combination of the information we got from Mandalorian Season 2, which told us that Grand Admiral Thrawn is going to be playing a larger role in this larger, what I've been calling Filoni-verse of Star Wars series on Disney+. The fact that Thrawn, I believe, is going to be playing the Thanos role of that universe, combined with the existence of Wayland, tells me that it's very likely that there will be this canon retelling of the original Thrawn trilogy. And I believe we are going to get that during the timeline of The Mandalorian, the Ahsoka series, and, if it's still happening, the Rangers of the New Republic, along with the Book of Boba Fett. All of these things combined, which are going to be taking place around that time period, I believe are going to be focusing around the central threat of Grand Admiral Thrawn. And I did say that I think that with the information we got from Mandalorian Season 2, I've got a whole video on all of the ways that I think Mandalorian Season 2 is setting up a canon Thrawn trilogy, where Thrawn is leading this remnant empire, completely separate from the First Order, but it is an actual remnant of the Empire. We know that the First Order began a year after the Battle of Endor, yet the Mandalorian takes place 5 years after the Battle of Endor, and yet there are still people calling themselves Imperials. They're not related to the First Order, they're not wearing First Order uniforms, and they have nothing to do with the Unknown Regions or Palpatine's Final Order. This is an Imperial remnant, which I believe reflects what we saw in the original Thrawn trilogy written by Timothy Zahn. If you don't know, the original Thrawn trilogy featured a character by the name of Grand Admiral Thrawn, who led an Imperial remnant almost to certain victory against the Republic, or the New Republic. And the fact that the Mandalorians seem to be bringing in many of those elements with their Imperial threat, rather than focusing on setting up the First Order, told me that I believed that they were going to be telling a different story, a story that focused on Thrawn's new empire. An empire that he wanted to reform in his own image, an image of more calloused efficiency rather than abject cruelty. Now, the fact that there is a cloning facility that exists under Emperor Palpatine using Kaminoan cloners during the Imperial era is incredibly reminiscent of the planet Wayland. And I think that this is going to be playing a part in this greater Filoni universe, particularly if they're setting up the Thrawn trilogy. In addition, I will be doing a video soon that I believe that this is why Grogu's memory went dark directly after Order 66. Yes, I believe that Season 2 of The Bad Batch will delve deeper into this Kaminoan cloning facility under Emperor Palpatine on the planet that I believe is Wayland, and I believe that that is where Grogu is. Not being cloned, but rather more in stasis as a clone donor. We know that Dr. Pershing wore a patch that bore a symbol of the Kaminoan cloners. It was a little bit more angular than the cloner patches that we saw in Attack of the Clones. However, it was the same patch that we saw on this doctor here in the season finale of The Bad Batch. And I think that that makes it very clear that Dr. Pershing came from this cloning facility on Wayland. And I believe that this will be the origin story of, not really an origin story, but more the transition story of Grogu after Order 66 and where he was during that time of his memory being dark. Honestly, this episode just made me so excited. It was feeling like a little bit of a letdown at the end of the episode with the Bad Batch portion, where it just kind of felt anticlimactic is the wrong word, but not climactic. It just kind of felt like a standard resolution with a little bit more warm fuzzies. But once they introduced this planet with the weird-looking mountains that is clearly a cloning facility under Emperor Palpatine, the wheels in my head just started turning, and I just started thinking about all the possibilities of what's going on here. And I really do think this is going to be connected to Grand Admiral Thrawn. I think that it's possible that they will be introducing a canon interpretation even of Jaruus C'baoth. Now, whether it is Jaruus C'baoth or another insane cloned Jedi, I couldn't tell you. I had previously predicted that I thought that maybe Ezra Bridger would be filling the role of Jaruus C'baoth in Thrawn's new story. That would be provided that his time in the unknown regions with Thrawn would drive him to some form of insanity. However, the presence of Wayland here in this episode suggests I may be wrong, and I don't know. All I know is I'm excited about all the possibilities. Guys, I cannot tell you how cool this would be if this ended up being Wayland and they used this. I don't think we'll get an exact retelling of the Thrawn trilogy, but I do think we're going to get some of the best elements from that reinterpreted into canon. With the Book of Boba Fett premiering this December, and then with The Mandalorian set to premiere early 2022, directly after the Book of Boba Fett stops, and then the Ahsoka series to come out sometime shortly after that, it shouldn't be long before we have to wait to see. And again, I really am rooting and believing that Grand Admiral Thrawn is going to be filling this Thanos role of the Filoniverse, this new telling of Star Wars, this new method of telling Star Wars. I've been really happy with Star Wars being told as this TV series format. I think it works really, really well. But ultimately, I'm here because I want to know what you, my friends, have to say about our favorite galaxy far, far away. So please let me know what you think down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, or if you learned absolutely nothing new, you can feel free to leave a thumbs down, completely guilt-free, because that tells me I'm not doing my job. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, may the lore be with you, now and forever.